Now, is there anyone here that can tell me why most alligators are abnormally aggressive? Yes or you, sir?
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hi there, and welcome to Baseball by Design. I am SportsLogos.net minor league baseball correspondent Paul Caputo, broadcasting live, as always, from the Sunday Helmet Hall of Fame in my basement in Fort Collins, Colorado. Today we are going to be speaking about the Lake Charles Gumbeaux Gators, a collegiate summer level team that plays in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Later on in this episode, I will be speaking with Baseball by Design's wildlife correspondent Ranger Amy Burnett. And of course, Dan Simon from Studio Simon will be here with one of his Studio Simon stumpers. Right now, I am so pleased to have on the Baseball by Design podcast Aaron Castet, who is the marketing and communications manager for the brand new Lake Charles Gumbeaux Gators. Aaron, how are you doing?
Oh, pretty good, Paul. How are you?
I am doing really, I feel like I should be wearing some beads, have a mask on. Like I feel like it should be, I should have a drink in my hand. This is a festive brand for a new team in the Texas Collegiate Summer League. Let's jump right in here. You're in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Where does this name Gumbeaux Gators come from? And what is this festive alligator Mardi Gras theme you guys have going?
Gumbo Gator is an icon as a mascot for the community. He, makes public appearances at local fairs, festivals, and events. He goes to schools, does book reading events. It's always been a big thing to have Gumbo Gator at events here in the community. And I know people who probably are in their 30s and 40s now remember, going to school and seeing Gumbo Gator there every now and then, or going to fairs and going to events. Gumbo Gator has always been there. Originally, he was named as Hal or Hal the Alligator, but with all the spicy gumbo here in Southwest Louisiana and all the flavor in our food, the pressure was really on for change. So it was a hearty name like Gumbo Gator that could not be denied. And so the board of directors here in Southwest Louisiana at the Tourist Bureau, they decided to, look to change the name in 1978. And so they went about doing that, and the name was changed. Gumbo Gator was his new name after, changing from Hal the Alligator. So that's why we decided to pick, this icon, Gumbo Gator, because he was just such a part of the community.
So he's a mascot for the community who came out in 1978. The team will debut in 2024. So if my math is correct, this may be a record here where the team's mascot precedes the team itself by 46 years. So that's
right.
That's pretty good heritage right there.
And then a fun fact just behind the costume, it was originally designed in New York by a group by the name of Eves Brooks, and then originally after that, we got a new designer from Corey Design in Dallas, Texas, and they ended up designing Barney the Purple Dinosaur. So it's a really interesting backstory behind how the mascot was developed.
What's the connection between the mascot and the baseball team?
Well, like I said, the mascot represents our community. It represents the tourist side of things. And so we have some involvement. The Visit Lake Charles Tourist Bureau has involvement with the team. Our general manager, Sam Moore, he's also works in the sports side of things for the local tourist bureau. So it goes hand in hand. We're trying to grow the community, and make it more appealing with this new baseball team. So people who are coming out of town from the summer, during the summer, they can come watch some baseball, have a fun family experience. There's a lot of people that pass through Lake Charles, even to go to the casinos, whether they're going to Baton Rouge, they could always make a stop and they can come and see a Gumbo Gators game.
We're talking about Lake Charles, Louisiana. There's obviously a very strong connection between this team and the Mardi Gras theme. There are a couple of teams in minor league baseball that have done sort of similar things with Mardi Gras. Obviously, the New Orleans Baby Cakes are the most famous of those at the AAA level. What's the thinking in taking a minor league baseball logo and identity and tying it to Mardi Gras?
Well, I mean, the idea, there's this saying, let's say le bon temps roule. It's French and it means let the good times roll. And that's what we're all about here with this Gumbo Gators team. We want the community to really have a great time, and we're all about helping the community continue to heal after the hurricanes. The hurricanes were, really devastating here in Southwest Louisiana, and we're looking, this Gumbo Gators team could be another way that we can continue to help the community, build back and grow and, have a great time for families and for couples. So the idea is just to, represent our rich history of Mardi Gras here in the area, which is a really big part of our culture down here.
And this is a mistake that I will admit that I made as I set up our Zoom meeting, and you and I have been communicating. Just out of pure force of habit, I spelled gumbo, Gumbo. Obviously, that is not how this team in Lake Charles spells gumbo. It is Gumbeaux, which French speakers will know that EAU and then with an X or an S on it or whatever is pronounced like the letter O. How come this name is already 4 words long, and we've added some extra characters in there with the EAUX instead of the O. How come that French spelling of gumbo? It's not even a French spelling of gumbo, but it is a Francification of gumbo.
So, this is a really unique situation. Here in Louisiana, we use the EAUX ending on the words like "Go Tigers." With LSU, that's a very iconic saying that they do there. We're kind of have a slogan of "Go Gators." It just represents, our culture here in South Louisiana. Obviously, the UL Ragin' Cajuns, they go with that also. It's a very nice way to pay homage to I guess our culture and our heritage of the Cajun culture. It's just a really unique way of doing things, and we're excited to have that in our brand. We're excited to let people know what we're all about.
So the Texas Collegiate League has been around since 2004. There are 6 teams in the Texas Collegiate League, and 3 of them are in Louisiana. So I'm wondering, at what point does Louisiana, do a hostile takeover here and call this the Texas Louisiana Collegiate Summer League?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how the Louisiana teams do this summer. I mean, we got some really strong teams here in Louisiana. The Baton Rouge Rougarou are always a very, very tough team. They just hired James Dillard too, who was a coach with the Brazos Valley Bombers. That was a really successful program, and they still are over there. Obviously, the Acadiana Canecutters are always a very physical and very good team over there. We're just really excited to have some in-state rivals, and then also a really good Texas group also over there: Victoria Generals, Seguin River Monsters, and Brazos Valley Bombers. It's a very, very great league for players during the summer to come to develop and really experience different areas of the country. Some might play in Colorado, some might play in different parts of the country. They can experience our culture when they come here during the summer.
Maybe it should be determined by who wins the championship. Like, since Seguin won last year and they're in Texas, maybe it's the Texas, league for now. But once Lake Charles takes a championship, I think it should be the Louisiana Collegiate Summer League here. So
That's the goal.
so the logo itself, I definitely want to talk about this logo. The colors of the logo are obviously Mardi Gras colors, which are the yellow, the purple, the green. I think it's when I look at the primary logo, it kind of makes me chuckle a little bit because the one sort of dash of hot pink there is the alligator's tongue hanging out in the primary logo. So he's holding a bat over his shoulder, and he's got a baseball in his hand, and its tongue is hanging out. Is the tongue hanging out just because it's silly and it's fun, or is it are we implying that the alligator's been out there partying it up in Mardi Gras? What's going on with this tongue hanging out?
So we actually have two different versions of the logo. We have a tongue out version and a tongue in.
Mm.
The tongue out version, like you said, is people having a fun time at Mardi Gras, being silly, cutting up. I think that's a great way to look at it in terms of that. But the one really been using, the primary one, is the tongue in. We have that. We also have an alternate logo with the just the headshot of the gator itself. And we have one of him standing up fully with a bat. So there's two different versions of the logo, but the one we mainly go by is obviously the one with the tongue.
There's a text-based version of the logo, and I'm just I'm looking on your team store now at some of the different merchandise that's on sale there. Have you found with the merchandise sales, which ones which logos are preferred by the fans there? Is it the character? Is it the text-based? What are the fans like?
A lot of the fans are liking the character itself, especially the one with the we have a purple shirt in there. It's the gator fully standing up and walking with a bat in his hand and a ball. They really like that one. They also like the one with the primary logo on it. I mean, our sales and merchandise have been really good. We continue to grow in that side of things. everybody loves our logos. It's been a very positive feedback regarding that. They think it represents our community, which is 100% what we want. So it's perfect.
So obviously, you all have just been unveiled as a new team in the Texas Collegiate League, but baseball in Lake Charles has been around in various forms for a long time. What is the what's the heritage of baseball in Lake Charles, Louisiana?
So in terms of minor league baseball, we had teams from 1906 to 1957 that played right here in Lake Charles. They played in leagues like the South Texas League, Gulf Coast League, Evangeline League, just to name a few. And those teams, they played as minor league affiliates for the Reds, the Tigers, the Cubs, and the New York Giants, who obviously relocated. Um, in terms of these teams, we had the Lake Charles Creoles, the Newporters, Explorers, Skippers, Lakers, and the Giants. So we had a rich heritage from 1906 to 1957 in terms of teams. There was a lot of really good players that came through here. Um, Alvin Dark and a few other big names like that. In Lake Charles, those teams won 3 league championships and 2 league pennants. So it was very successful when it was here in Lake Charles. So we're really excited to bring that, really sense of excitement back to the community for minor league baseball. We're going to be bringing a thrilling atmosphere to the community and, hoping to win some championships like those former teams did here in town.
Some of these old names are fun. I mean, you don't see a lot of names necessarily. I guess right around the early 1900s, you started seeing some of these teams have, names that they either gave themselves or that reporters gave them. But the Lake Charles Creoles sounds like it would be like a really fun, throwback night. I mean, granted, they played a century and a quarter ago, right? They played in
Right.
1906 to 1908. So that's a fun name that obviously ties to your brand there. It's been a long time since there's been affiliated minor league baseball. Obviously, this team here, the Gumbeaux Gators is not affiliated minor league baseball, but with this, heritage in Lake Charles of baseball, I'm curious whether there's a feeling of responsibility to sort of carry on a certain kind of tradition of baseball, or, can they exist outside that story of baseball in Lake Charles?
Well, I mean, our area just has such a very talented pool of baseball teams here. We're a baseball oriented community, in my opinion. So I think that, we're building our own brand. We're going to do our own unique thing here in town. Obviously paying homage to the history that we have here, but, really setting new standards here and developing a brand that's iconic for, not just Lake Charles, but Southwest Louisiana, South Louisiana, also. And we really want to do some amazing things for this community. But it's really exciting to think that we get to, bring back baseball in this really rich community. So we have some really good, high school teams here too, and I want to point that out real quick. Some of the people that they produce. We have Barb High School. They won the state championship 12 times. They have guys like Gavin Guidry, who pitched in the College World Series this past year, the last inning, the ninth inning. Kyle DeBarge, who plays for University of Louisiana Lafayette. And then one more thing, we have another school, Sulphur, Louisiana. That's where our general manager, Sam Moore, most recently was. He was the head coach there. He produced guys like Will Dion, who is in the minor league system with the Cleveland Guardians right now. And then Jake Brown, who is a current starter for LSU. So, this whole area loves baseball. There's a passion for it. And, there's going to be so much excitement when it comes around May 30th and, as we get ready for our season opener.
So I know that the Gumbeaux Gators haven't taken the field yet, but what's the response been in the community to this new brand?
There's people, really excited and they want season tickets. We're not officially selling season tickets yet. That's coming very, very soon. Merchandise sales have been great. They continue to grow. Everybody just, there's a sense of excitement. They want to, come on out, experience things as a family. They want to experience things, for couples. We're going to offer so many exciting promotions and great ways to have a memorable night at the ballpark here in Lake Charles.
Awesome. Aaron, thank you so much. This has been so much fun to talk about this fun new brand, and can't wait to see it on the field in the Texas Collegiate League in Louisiana. Where can people find you and this fun merchandise online, on socials, all that sort of thing?
So our website is gumbogators.com. That's Gumbeaux Gators.com. We also on our social media platforms, it's at Gumbeaux Gators. We're posting some really exciting content right now, signing players, announcing some staff members. So things are picking up. So we hope that you guys can, come on out and follow us on and also visit our website.
Awesome. And that'll obviously be in the show notes, so you don't have to spell gumbo on your own. You can find that link in the show notes. Aaron, thanks so much. This has been fun.
Alrighty, thank you, Paul.
All right, everyone, welcome back. I am so pleased to welcome back to the podcast once again our friend, Ranger Amy Burnett, Baseball by Design's wildlife correspondent, who is here to talk about alligators because we are talking about the Lake Charles Gumbeaux Gators. I actually have a fact that I'm going to bring to you. I have a little bit of a nature fact.
You do?
Yes. So this is a good one and an important one, and I wanted to start with this, which is the difference between an alligator and a crocodile.
Ooh, it's a good one.
Yeah, right. That's an important distinction, right? If you're getting attacked out there in the wild, you want to know which one of these animals is eating you. The way you can tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile is that an alligator will see you later, and a crocodile will see you in a while.
I think you wanted to do this episode just so you could ask me that.
It's possible this whole thing was set up just for that one dad joke, which is one of my favorites.
That is pretty good. It's a pretty good joke.
For real.
For real.
So I don't actually know any facts of any consequence. So I will ask you the question, how do you tell the difference between a crocodile and an alligator?
So the easiest way to tell between an alligator and a crocodile is the shape of its snout. So an alligator has a U-shaped snout. So if you were to draw a U upside down, that's an alligator snout. And if you were to draw an upside down V, that's a crocodile's snout. Well, I suppose if it's upside down or not depends on if it's opening its mouth about to eat you or if you're riding on its back. So,
right.
But it's either a U or V. Alligators have a U-shaped snout, and then crocodiles are pointy. So if you think of like Peter Pan, the crocodile, and that was a crocodile because he had like a really very pointy snout.
Okay.
Crocodiles, pointy snouts. And sometimes crocodiles have teeth that kind of protrude from their jaw. So the reason that you can sometimes see the teeth from on a crocodile instead of an alligator when their mouths are closed is because the jaw of a crocodile is the same length on the upper and lower, but alligators have small depressions in the upper jaw, and the lower teeth fit in those little depressions in their mouth so that when they close their mouth, you can't see their teeth from the outside.
So crocodiles kind of have a ridiculous looking underbite.
See, I think they're like showing you their teeth, like, don't mess with me, bro. Because crocodiles are the more aggressive of the two species.
So do we have both alligators and crocodiles here in the United States, and in particular in Louisiana?
That is a really great question. The answer to that question is yes and no.
Okay.
So yes, we have both species in the United States. No, you can't find both in Louisiana. So the only place in the United States where crocodiles exist is the very, very southern tip of Florida, so mostly the Everglades.
Okay.
Because crocodiles like saltwater and brackish water, and alligators are almost entirely freshwater. They don't have the glands in their nose that lets them get rid of salt. So they don't survive in saltwater. That's why Steve Irwin would call them salties, because not only are they kind of aggressive and salty attitude, but they like salt water, and those are the more aggressive ones too.
Okay.
So we have alligators, which are not quite as aggressive, but you still don't want to get bitten by one or taunt one or have one as a pet.
Yeah. No, you certainly don't. These, they are kind of terrifying. Though this logo for the Gumbeaux Gators, he looks all...
he looks pretty cute.
He looks chill. He's only got 4 teeth up top and 6 down below.
I'm going to have a word with whoever designed it and gave him only 4 teeth, because they can have 3,000 teeth in their lifetime. And this guy only has 4. So what gives?
Well, it's hard to embroider 3,000 teeth on a baseball cap.
Okay, I guess I'll give him her a little bit of slack. But they lose their teeth all the time. That's why they have 3,000 over their lifetime, because they lose them. Can you imagine if you like my little sister, one time she bit her friend, or she was mad at her, and her tooth fell out and she started crying.
Oh my goodness. So
sometimes alligators, when they bite down on something, they lose their teeth.
They must have terrible teeth losing dreams. Like, that dream you have where you're like, your teeth are, what if you had 3,000 teeth?
I guess they don't worry about it.
What do alligators eat?
So alligators eat pretty much anything they can get their mouths on, including their own young sometimes, especially the male gators.
Okay.
Female gators are actually really good mothers, believe it or not. Did you know that?
I didn't know this. No, this is brand new information.
When the babies are born, sometimes they hatch the eggs in their mouths really gently, like crack, crack, crack. And then they sort of hold them in their mouths, and they watch over them for a couple of months, sometimes up to 2 years. I found that I've never seen an alligator with like a lot of babies around it. So maybe they just sort of watch them from afar, or maybe they just have their, have little trackers on them or something like that. Who knows? Like people do with their kids nowadays. But
yeah.
so they actually take care of about a couple months or more is what they say that female alligators actually take care of their young. Who knew?
So getting back to what alligators eat.
Yes.
Because we took a little detour there.
Thank you for roping me back.
So you say anything they can get their mouths on? Are they omnivores?
They're omnivores, so they'll eat meat, but they'll also eat fruit, like
Okay.
if given the chance, or given someone throws them an orange and they'll eat it. But they love meat, so they would like to eat small mammals, medium-sized mammals. They could eat a baby deer if one fell in the water. So alligators, they can eat everything from like muskrats and beavers to down to bunnies and ducks and ducklings and turtles. So one thing about alligators is that they have a huge, really, really, really strong bite force.
Okay.
So it's 2,000 psi, pounds per square inch. And so that's like, do you know what your bite force is?
My bite force, I think I read somewhere that the Tasmanian devil has some ludicrous
It doesn't make
PSI.
as much as an alligator.
Really? Is that
Yeah,
true?
it is
Wow.
true.
My bite force, I'm going to guess if an alligator is 2,000, mine is 150.
Actually, that's really close. It's 125.
Really?
Yeah, good
Very
guess.
good.
So yeah, their bite force is only below a crocodile.
Wow.
So like in the Americas, really, crocodiles and alligators have it. They even have a bite force stronger than a lion.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That sounds like an untruth.
It does, but that's true.
I think you're
Nope.
lying.
Darn it. You totally, I walked right into that one. Oh my gosh. But they have to eat turtles sometimes. They have to crush those shells. They love to eat like turtles, even, like big snapping turtles, those big bony shells that you see.
Yeah.
So they have to have really strong bite forces. So when people want to have them as pets, I'm just like, not a good idea. People will have them as pets, and then they have to give them up because when they get so certain size, they get they're obviously dangerous. And then they end up in sanctuaries, and that's sad. So anyone listening, the Gumbeaux Gators, I get that the logo is cute, the little, like 4 teeth there. Oh no, he has 8. He's got 4 on the
He's
bottom.
got 4 up top and 6 down below.
Okay. So his little 10 teeth there, he looks pretty cute.
Yeah.
In Colorado, you can actually have caimans, which are a relative of the alligator. Dwarf caimans, they only grow up to be like 6 feet. But what are you gonna do with a 6-foot alligator reptile? You can put it in your bathtub? Like,
What about gumbo?
do they like eating gumbo?
Yeah.
The
Lake Charles Gumbeaux Gator. Is he the gumbo gator because he's eating gumbo or because he's an ingredient in gumbo?
When I saw that, I was like, I think it's an ingredient, and I'm kind of bummed about that because I don't think anyone should eat alligators. They're cool. They're an ancient reptile that still pretty much survives in almost its, original form today.
Like sharks.
How cool is that? Yeah.
Who would
They're
win a
just-
fight, an alligator or a shark?
Oh, well, they wouldn't meet each other unless they were a crocodile because
Oh,
they would be in saltwater.
So if an alligator were a crocodile, which he's not because of the whole see you later in a while
Well,
thing.
ask me when you have like the Mississippi O&O because they don't serve.
I was thinking of the Clearwater Threshers, who are right there on the Gulf as well.
Ask me when they play the alternate identity as the Clearwater Crocodiles, and then you can find. Then you can ask me that question.
Now we're talking. All right. This Gumbeaux Gator is holding both a bat and a baseball. I would think that the last thing that an alligator would do on a baseball team is throw a ball. I mean, there's an expression, alligator arms, which means like short little arms, like when the
T-Rex.
right, like when the check comes at the restaurant and someone has alligator arms, like they're reaching for it and like they don't quite make it fit. So this here gator is, getting ready to throw a baseball, but I don't think that that's really what they're going to be doing on a baseball team. What is, if you're the coach of a baseball team, you're managing a baseball team, where are you putting the Gumbeaux Gator?
He's a sprinter. He's a base runner.
Okay.
He's the one who's going to steal the bases for you.
How fast can they run?
35 miles an hour.
35
So that's
miles an hour.
faster than the fastest human. But they can only run that in short sprints.
Okay.
So if your fastest base runner, that's your gator. He's
What
not
makes
gonna
them
be
so
able to
fast? How
do-
can they got these big old bodies and these little tiny legs?
They've got these tiny legs, but they've got this. They're just strong, and they could just on
Right.
land. They really can hustle on land for short spurts.
Yeah.
I have a video I want to play for you. Okay, so this is Texas. Some people were swimming in a lake.
Now to new video tonight from a scary alligator encounter at Huntsville State Park. Watch. David from Houston sharing this video with us tonight. You can see that big gator very close to people swimming at the park, screaming as they run to get out of the water. Fortunately, we're told everybody got out okay. And it's not the first time we've seen gators get up close to swimmers. Park officials say it is a known spot for alligators, and you swim at your own risk. There are signs. Let me repeat. It is a known spot for alligators. So why are you there?
Wow.
I love the newscaster because it's a known spot for alligators. Why are you there?
One of my favorite signs that I ever saw was it was a sign next to a body of water, and it said, "Alligators do not swim here." There's no punctuation, and there was so you look at it and you're like, great, alligators do not swim here.
So it's like are they talking to the alligators? Because I
Right.
don't think alligators
Who's the target audience?
can read. Or the people, it needed a comma in there. That's pretty good. I like
Something.
that sign.
Yeah.
But when I was little known fact, my dad, we used to go to Florida all the time when we were little, and my dad would be like, "Okay, stand right there in front of the alligators."
Oh boy.
And then he would take our picture, and we're like 50 feet from an alligator.
Right.
Like a huge, big alligator just sunning itself.
Uh,
And then he'd be like, "Okay, here's some marshmallows. If you can feed the alligators." And
Marshmallows.
we'd throw marshmallows to the alligators
Oh my
in
gosh.
Florida. It's amazing. We still have our fingers and toes left, and none of them ever charged us.
Yeah, but there was that fifth sister that is not around anymore.
We don't talk about her anymore.
Karen.
Karen. But yeah, you can just Google all the videos of like gators chasing people.
Any other nifty facts before I let you go here? Anything else about alligators that if you are a baseball team that has an alligator all Mardi Gras up that someone should know?
So one cool thing that I'm not sure if you knew, but alligators almost went extinct. This was just like in about 1950 or so. Alligators were put on the endangered species list. Can you believe that? 1962, they were actually put on the endangered species list because there were so few alligators left because of poaching, people making gumbo out of them, and just generally a bunch of other things. But they actually had to protect them for a while. But now there are 5 million alligators living
Holy smokes.
in the United States, and
Alligators are a conservation success story. That's very cool.
they really are. But now they're sort of a nuisance to people in Florida, so they have to learn how to live with them. But
Yeah.
it's been a long road for alligators, but I'm really glad that they're back. Of course, I don't live in Florida, so I have a stumper for you. Am I allowed to do a studio assignment?
My goodness.
stumper?
Well, Dan is going to be here in the next segment with a stumper, but I'm always. I think we would need a different name for it though. If it's going to be like a Ranger Amy, how about a correspondent question? That's not very good. A wildlife wonderin'.
A wildlife wondering. That's kind of cute. Okay.
A Ranger Amy wildlife wonderin'.
All right.
First ever.
First ever. All right. So first ever, Ranger Amy wildlife wondering. You ready?
Let's hear it.
What states do alligators live in the United States? Because they're only found in the United States.
So alligators are only found in the United States, and they live in. So obviously Florida,
Mhm.
Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas.
Got it. Yep.
We got the Gulf states there.
Yep.
I'm going to go up the East Coast a little bit. I'm going to say Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, North Carolina.
Yep.
I'm going to say not as far north as Virginia.
Correct. You only missed 2. You did awesome.
Okay.
The only ones that are missing are Oklahoma and Arkansas.
Oklahoma and Arkansas. I wonder if I should have known that because I really like the TV show Ozark. And I'm pretty sure there were alligators involved in the TV show Ozark. All right, Ranger Amy, thank you so much. That was the first ever Ranger Amy Wildlife Wonderin'.
Yeah.
We'll see if
More
that
to come.
becomes a regular segment. In the meantime, thanks very much. People can find you on the Twitter at Ranger Amy
Mhm.
and on Instagram at The Real Ranger Amy.
Thanks for having me come and talk about alligators.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone, welcome back. I am so pleased, as always, to welcome my good friend and designer extraordinaire, Dan Simon, onto the podcast for Studio Simon Stumpers, my favorite segment, your favorite segment. Dan, good morning. How are you?
I am fantastic, Paul. Looking forward to this stumper because it is a callback to a previous stumper, and depending on what order you do these on, it might even be a callback to last week's stumper.
The answer to the question is Weird Al Yankovic's Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota. Final answer.
A double callback right there.
When I was a kid growing up, I thought that the king of callbacks, I thought callbacks were basically invented by David Letterman. And I realize now that that's probably not the case, but that was one of his main comedy mechanisms right there, was the callback. And so I find callbacks to be very funny.
Yes, and as do I. Where I recently learned about that, it was on Seth Meyers' late night show, and he did a callback and referred to it as a callback, and it's like, oh, so that's what that's called. So.
Well, we are here to talk about the Lake Charles Gumbeaux Gators. It's a little bit of a mouthful. It's a new baseball team, but the team name and the mascot are based on a long-standing mascot for the city itself. So it's an interesting origin story for where this Lake Charles Gumbeaux Gators team name came from.
Well, speaking of origin stories, over 300 major leaguers originated in Louisiana, were born in Louisiana.
Nice.
These include Hall of Famer Mel Ott, born in Gretna, Louisiana.
The namesake for the Spokane Indians mascot, Mel Otter, who is not actually the Spokane Indians mascot, but one of the wrong answers in a recent Studio Simon stumper. And
the namesake for that wrong answer in that stumper was a plush otter I bought for my wife before she was my wife, when we went on a trip to Monterey, California. We visited the Monterey Bay Aquarium, great aquarium in Monterey. If you haven't been to Monterey, go. It's a great little seaside town. And if you haven't been to the aquarium there, go. It's a great aquarium.
I would argue that the Monterey Bay Aquarium is the best aquarium in the country.
Wow. And that's saying something, because A, there are a lot of aquariums, and B, as I wasn't even thinking about, that probably falls under the umbrella of what you do for your full-time gig.
We certainly have a close relationship with the folks at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and I've been several times. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful town. And the pier there, I think it was actually the very first place that I ever had clam chowder, New England style clam chowder in a sourdough bread bowl. And it was at the end of a pier overlooking the bay that was rich with otters frolicking and sea lions.
Yes. When I went on that trip with my wife, AJ, we were staying at a bed and breakfast that was located right across from the ocean, and they had a big picture window out on the second or third floor, and we would sit out there, and not sit out there, sit inside looking out that picture window and just watching the otters right there out in the ocean, just putting on a show for us. And my wife fell in love with the otters. It's hard not to, and that's why I bought her the plush that would become Mel Otter. So yes, Mel Ott was born in Gretna. Rusty Staub, one of my favorite players, born in New Orleans. Vida Blue, born in Mansfield. And Albert Bell, born in Shreveport. In addition to those former players, current players from Louisiana include a couple of your Fightin' Phils. Aaron Nola, born in Baton Rouge. I coincidentally, even though he's born in Baton Rouge, his last name is Nola, which is
funny, isn't it?
Abbreviation for New Orleans, Louisiana. So, and Taiwan Walker, who was born in Shreveport.
Not in Taiwan.
Yes, exactly. But my personal favorite, and this is the callback, is former Yankee pitcher Ron Guidry, who was born in Lafayette, which is about 1 hour due east of Lake Charles. I mentioned in that stumper, so I'm being redundant, He's a 3-time 20-game winner, former 3-time 20-game winner, who in 1978 had one of the greatest seasons ever by a pitcher when he went 25-3 with 9 shutouts and a 1.74 earned run average, en route to winning the American League Cy Young Award unanimously. So,
and perhaps most famous for not being the first manager of the Somerset Patriots in 1998.
Or at least currently, that's what he's most famous for.
At least to listeners of this podcast.
But he was a darn good pitcher, beloved Yankee. And Ron Guidry had 2 nicknames during his playing days. So our studio Simon Stumper today asks, which of the following was not one of Ron Guidry's nicknames?
2 truths and a lie. Here we go.
Is it A, Gator, B, Blue Bayou, and I need to point out the blue there is spelled B-L-E-W, okay? Or C, Louisiana Lightning?
I think that Blue Bayou is a very clever Dan Simon invention. I think Gator, Guidry, the alliteration, that would have made it real easy to have that as a nickname. So I'm going to say Gator probably is one of those nicknames. Louisiana Lightning feels a little bit like a nickname you would have had for a player in Ron Guidry's era. Blue Bayou, to me, doesn't sound like a nickname, especially if you have to clarify the spelling of it when you say it. So I'm going to say that Blue Bayou, which is alliterative and also is answer B. So answer B, Blue Bayou, is the one that is not one of his nicknames and is also a triple B alliteration.
Give that man a cigar.
Hot diggity.
You're off the schneid. And your sussing is not only correct, but spot on.
Well, it's about time. I was due.
You were. But like the game of baseball, there's always another game tomorrow. Not always, obviously, you can play the last game of the season, but there's usually another game tomorrow, and you can go from an over to a base hit tomorrow and start over.
As Charlie Brown says, it only takes one.
Charlie Brown was a wise boy.
Yes, he was.
Actually, Linus was the wise one.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown was the good grief one.
Louisiana, I can picture like a script Louisiana Lightning written on Ron Guidry's glove. Like if he were not a pitcher, I would have said on his bat, but I could see it like burned into his glove, stamped into his glove, a script, Louisiana Lightning, maybe along the pinky finger of the glove.
Okay.
Yeah. Dan, this has been another fun one. As always, thank you so much for bringing the Studio Simon Stumpers and all of the work that comes with them. I know that you put a lot of effort into all of these, so I appreciate that very much. And we will see you again next week. In the meantime, folks can find you online all the time at studiosimon.net and on Instagram at studio_Simon. Dan, I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Ditto, same to you. And I am looking forward to whatever next week's theme is going to be.
It's going to be a good one. Oh, just you wait.